Hello and welcome to the Trak Racer GT series on the iRacing Esports Network and on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me is Daniel Lee Scott Newton operating the cameras tonight. And we are here in season 13 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship at Virginia International Racecourse. Daniel, this place divides opinion. It is one of the old school circuits on the iRacing service. This has been around since the very inception of iRacing. I think this place was scanned back in 07 or 08. And it is going to be a massive challenge for these drivers. It is just a ribbon of circuit through the hills of West Virginia. And it should be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, good evening to everyone tuning in. Great to have you back. Look, I love this circuit. I know you're a little on the fence with this one, Sam, but no, I love it. It's a fantastic circuit, real driver's circuit to it. Really gets you into a really solid rhythm as you flow the car up through the S's. You get to come down to the famous oak tree, which in real life now has actually been withdrawn or removed. I think it was due to lightning or termites. They got rid of that now. But it's a fantastic circuit. It's a big change from what we saw last week at Indianapolis, where it's a very flat surface. We've got a lot of undulations for the guys to get through. The biggest issue is going to be drop that tyre off onto the grass, though, when you're out in the weeds.
I will just say I'm not on the fence. I am firmly on one side of the fence. It's just not Daniel's side of the fence, or Scott Newton's side of the fence, I should add as well. But it should still be very good this round of the championship. I've never done a race round here, but we have broadcast a decent amount of races on Apex Racing TV around this track. It is quite nice to go to these circuits, which of course we don't visit a whole lot, and that is kind of the theme of this season's calendar. So many club circuits that we are visiting, and so far this championship, it has been spectacular. Still, Trick Esports though, Daniel, are the team to beat. I mean, for a team who last season I think maybe got 2 or 3 wins. Of course, we saw the Rizzo win at Suzuka. I believe that was his only one. I think maybe one of his teammates managed to get another race win during the season, but they are 4 out of 4 so far this season. But they've got to make sure that their qualifying is on point tonight in order to really stand a chance, because it won't be easy to overtake around here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've really stepped up this season. Obviously, we've had a lot of changes from last season to this one with the balance of performance. Obviously, the Corvettes come in, but the strategies that Race Control have implemented to really bring the field back together has worked exceptionally well. That being said, we've seen Trick Esports pretty well take the bulk of all the wins that we've had so far this season. And Ross Rizzo, I think, went 3 for 3 last week at Indy. So he's in a really good position, currently sitting second in the laps that have been turned, and only marginally just behind Nathan Huppets, who has seemed to be the strong driver in the Corvette at the moment. So it's shaping up for what will be a fantastic run.
Yeah, of course, all these different GTE cars have different strengths and weaknesses. We're still trying to figure them out in the commentary box, but the organisers do try their absolute best in trying to level out the playing field. But there will be slight discrepancies in each round, and with such a close field, that little differences, whether it just be a 10th or 2 around each track, can make the world of difference. The drivers have already done their qualifying session. That was in a previous session. The top drivers got into this top split, and we have got about 30 of them out for this top split event, 45 minutes, and you can see we are going to get a full pace lap coming up. And on pole position, it is Craig Edwards. Dare I say that might be Edwards' first pole of the season. He's not usually necessarily the best qualifier. He usually improves his performance in the race, so that is very strong for the 928 car. It's surely going to be one of Ross Rizzo's best challengers for the title this season. Michael Healy lines up in second place on the grid. There's Timothy Phoeben, Ross Rizzo. That's a very strong first 2 rows of the grid. Good to see Phoeben back up there. Jacob Brown, fantastic qualifying for him in 5th place. There's Nathan Huppers, Jeremy Clark, Byron Phillips, very good qualifying for Byron as well. Martin Crisp and Tom Hagen round out the top 10. Then it's Warwick Brown, Simon Nicholson, Amanda Dalton, Bailey Frid, Guy Leach, Steve Janssen, Nick Sanfilippo, Chris Weitzel, Kobe Laszlo, Paul Warwick, Aaron Specchier, Michael Whiting, Jesse Butler, Dale Braid, Hayden Smith, Christopher Hughes and BJ Kennedy. I believe, of course, Van Costa and Alexander Bird, of course, are going to be driving the safety cars and doing the admin. Not sure if we'll see Anthony Winkleman or Justin Cottsville out there as well. They may be helping out with the organisation as well. So the drivers move away from the grid. Really, the position that stands out to me there, Daniel, is Timothy Phoeben. I mean, we shouldn't be making a big deal out of a former champion getting third on the grid, but it has been a struggling start for him. He had a good run of results in the middle part of last season. He got a couple of race wins, but so far this season has been a pretty dire championship for him. And he's not really got a whole lot to lose. I think in his mind, he'll already be thinking the championship's gone. So he could be dangerous against these other drivers who are very much in that title fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a bit of a struggle for him this season, as you say. It's not really gone about his way with the Porsche there. They have obviously had quite a few BOP changes, but seems to be now getting on top of that with the way the setups are changing. So it's good to see that car coming up. Also, a great new livery on the Mach 1 car tonight as well. For those who have seen it in previous races, it's just changed, looking quite good out there. So Tim, not only has he got the pressure of starting third tonight, he's also got that freshly painted car that he doesn't want to scratch going over the top of the S's here. But look, it's starting to get on top of it. It's great to see too also the Corvette getting back up here. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the Ferraris in the field tonight, but it looks to be a really solid spread between all our manufacturers.
See, 46 degrees track temperature, that is warm. Didn't realise Virginia was that warm. I mean, I know it's kind of south. Well, yeah, I think it's like the crossover state, innit? It's Virginia, but it's not that south. So I am surprised that it is that warm. 28 degrees air temperature too, that isn't that bad. Because 15th of May, the default iRacing day, and all the days that we host these races. Of course, this is going to be one of the best overtaking opportunities out on track. This place is kind of called the American Nurburgring, and I kind of see the logic in that, Daniel, because you got, the narrow circuit, you got a lot of grass on either side of the track, and I think similar to the Nurburgring, overtaking, you got to kind of breathe in and go for a very small gap, because if the opponent just puts the car in the middle of the track, it can be very tricky to actually make a move, because there's going to be only about a car's and a half width on either side. So that's something to watch out for, the defensive tactics from these guys.
Absolutely. Obviously, where the guys are at the moment on the back straight heading up towards turn 14, A, B, and turn 15, this is going to be the prime opportunity to get a pass if you can utilise that slipstream. It is very tight, as we see from the overhead shot, so getting that car position nicely braked and rotated through the corner is going to be key. But if you're able to pull it through, you can set yourself up quite handy. There's going to be quite a few other spots that no doubt we're going to be talking out over the course of this race, especially the run down into turn 1 and down through the little infield section before the guys get onto the chicanes up through the hills. But yeah, really interesting to see where these guys will look to make those opportunities tonight.
Definitely. As Edwards puts his foot down, we are green flag racing at Virginia International Raceway. Phoeben with a fantastic start from third on the grid, especially straight away past Michael Healy. I think Healy's going to be done by his own teammate as well, Rizzo. Healy actually early on the brakes, needs to be careful that he doesn't get passed by Brown as well, who I think is going to send him off here. Brown was a bit off the track and he has missed the corner. Did Healy manage to do that all right? I think he did, but I don't quite know how he did. There is Huppert's as well with a very poor start from about 7th on the grid. Shame for him. I think he must have been affected by Brown's off. Brown actually now down to 25th and 24th for Huppert's, but it's a poor start for Healy. It's not too bad news, I guess, for Czech Esports, because they're still in 3rd and 4th, but they certainly have lost a pawn in that lead battle straight away. But Timothy Phoeben looking very strong at the moment. Also San Felipe and Leach with poor start. Great start from Jesse Butler to move up 7 places.
Yeah, really good launch from everyone there. I'd be interested to see whether there is any damage on the Ross Russo Ford, as we just see safety car boards being displayed there. So we will come back under control of the safety car. Looks like we've got a very slow car. Aaron Specchio trying to claw his Ford back around the circuit with quite a bit of damage on that one following that earlier skirmish. So it'd be interesting if we can get a replay of how that unfolded. I'm surprised that Ross was able to get through with as little damage as he did. And off the getaway, as you said so rightly said. Great jump from Phoeben. I think the Trick boys were just going to set it up to allow Rizzo up in the front. He is the driver that is with a really good shot on the whole championship hold, but Brown coming in really missed the braking mark. He's got a big lock-up, gets it up on the dirt, and then goes through. And then further back, looked like we had about 4 or 5 other cars get right involved in that. Another one of Donate Life cars involved in that as well, possibly. That might have been, but it might have been Warwick Brown, so the other Brown rather in there. And this is what happened to Nathan Huppets.
Yeah, so this is surely going to be as a consequence to Brown's move just down the inside in the pause. I don't know how Rizzo managed to keep that on track, and then Huppets, I think, getting a tap down from behind. And shame for him, because he was in a decent position there to do some damage. Here was Rizzo's start, and this is going to be a pretty frightening set of circumstances for him, because he gets absolutely harpooned almost into the side. Safety car going to be in on this lap, so it's just going to be a 1-lap safety car. It is a long circuit around this place, and that was how it's all kicked off. So it's Edwards, Phoeben, Rizzo, Healy. In fact, I'm looking down the order, and only Edwards is in the same place as he started. There's been plenty of shuffling around as the rest of the field now all appends to one another. And we see the McLaren safety car out on track at the moment.
Yeah, Anthony Bird doing a really good job leading this field around. But we've already had quite a few stoppers come in. So we saw Hughes, Brown, and Spector, who was obviously that car that was struggling to get back. So that's a quick repair out of the way for him. Also had a couple of guys also sort of fainted down the lane, but not come through yet. But now that we're going to reset, get back under this, once the safety car clears out, interesting to see now. Obviously, Phoeben's made a really good jump at the start of this race. Can he replicate that again with the safety car pulling away?
Yeah, maybe just be almost a disadvantage now for Phoeben. The fact that he's up into second place. I actually just feel the pressure from behind because, of course, you do have to react to the leader. However, of course, we are going to have a single file restart rather than a double file. So it should be easier for him to defend than it was for Healy to defend off the initial start. Now, I'm kind of worried for Bird here because if he does put his foot down, this final section, of course, is so tricky. It is one of the most tricky circuits in all of iRacing. It's this Virginia International Raceway. Of course, you'll see the drivers go over the crest and then downhill. I think everyone's got to have their wits about them and make sure that they don't go off the circuit at any point. We are expecting plenty of mistakes around this place, just as we saw around Alton Park, of course, where plenty of drivers made errors. And also Mid-Ohio as well as another classic circuit where we see a few mistakes from the guys. The 82 safety car will start to pull away from the rest of the field. And it will be same old for Craig Edwards, who got pole position and who managed to defend that lead in the first few moments of the opening lap. He's got to do it all over again. And Timothy Phoeben is looking very racy behind him. Edwards may want to leave this one a little bit longer so the drivers behind don't get a tow, but he does go pretty early, gets the slight jump on Phoeben, and it looks pretty safe going down into turn 1. We're back racing at VIR. Lap 3 starting now. Once again, it's a poor start really for Healy. It's Captain Clark behind him. All the drivers going to the middle of the circuit just to fend off any moves from one another. So far, I'm seeing very little changes amongst the drivers, about 0.3 of a second again between all of the drivers down the field. And once again, Phoeben just opening up a bit of a gap. Rizzo this time actually having a good first few corners, putting some pressure on Phoeben, but at this part of the circuit, it's near impossible to make a move.
Yeah, not much separating either of them. Just a really good jump from Rizzo, obviously getting through, not getting collected this time through, so he's able to stick right on the back of Phoeben, but making the most out of that Ford at the moment. There is a bit of a hefty weight penalty on this car for this event. They've added 12 kilos to it from race control, similar to the RSR, which has only had 4 on it. Corvette untouched at this point, but pretty close to see between all 3 of these cars. Looks like they're starting to drop Michael Healy just a little bit behind, as you see, working their way out of Oak Tree onto the back straight. Then we're going to head up to this awesome section through the roller coaster here, and be interested to see who looks to have a move, and Rizzo is certainly lining up for one already.
Yeah, it's the only way through. It's difficult which side you want to be defending, to be honest. You probably won't be on the outside, on the right side of the circuit, so you have the inside for the right-hander. Both the penalty for Jacob Brown, and that was for the instant on the first lap, and I think that was pretty obvious. That one, Rizzo just struggling through the penultimate corner. Maybe a bit of air wash, heading out wide. So tricky as well with these massive GTE cars. They really have a lot of, they really are quite large. It's very tricky to kind of see where you're going when you're cooped up behind the driver ahead, when all you can see is the back bumper. It's difficult to spot your turning points to get your apexes just right. And that is going to be a source of some mistakes as well. Just the penalty as well for Phillips, who is currently running in 15th place. Brian Phillips, who's down 7 places actually from the start. Another driver who got a very good qualifying, but got involved in that incident, I assume, with Huppert on the opening lap. And he will also have to take a trip down the pit lane. At least it's not the longest pit lane we have all season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could have been definitely a lot worse in that respect. So he should be able to come back through. Has still yet to make a stop, so he'll have to come back down the lane at some point later on for that compulsory pit stop as well. But could be definitely a worse place, and we're likely to see potentially for another safety car as this one heats up, just with the technicality of the circuit. So keep our eyes fixed on that. Tom Huggin looking pretty good for XRC at the moment. Back up front though, this battle between Phoeben and Rizzo really starting to heat up. The gap down to 0.3 of a second. They work their way towards pretty well top speed on the back straight here, and Phoeben just going marginally defensive as he turned that car into 14B, and just seeming to have a slightly better edge at the moment over Ross Rizzo and Ford.
Remember, these drivers are going to have to make a pit stop later on in order to get to the end of the event. Just a little top up of fuel. No tyres needed in that regard. Here comes Janssen on Kobe Laszlo. So not defending a whole lot. And that is pretty much as easy a move as you're going to see at Virginia International Raceway. And that was quite comfortable for him. The Elite's driver, remember the Elite's indicated by the purple. And then we've got the pros, the green, the amateurs, the amber, and then the rookies are the red, albeit there are just the 2 of them, Paul Warwick and Christopher Hughes, running in 22nd and 23rd places. Those guys always fantastic in qualifying, managing to get themselves into this top split. I believe 2 splits going on tonight. Still, you can see the difference as well between 4th and 5th. Elites and Pro drivers are pulling away are those foursome at the moment. And pretty much everyone else apart from that is all just a ribbon down the straight. And actually, Phoeben getting a little bit closer. I wonder if Edwards just made a slight mistake through the oak tree. Because Edwards hasn't got a toe from anyone up ahead of him. At least Phoeben, if he is under attack from Rizzo, can just get into the draft of Edwards, and that does help reflect any attack. That's not at the... of course, Edwards doesn't have that himself. He did manage to have enough straight line speed anyway. And I do believe the C7 isn't that quick down the straights. It's usually the Ford, isn't it, which is the car to go for. Sorry, the BMW, which is the car to go for down the straight. But of course, none of them are driving now.
Yeah, BMW seems to have the top end advantage generally from what we've seen, especially when we went to Mosport. It was a car that was very hard to get past. But the current top BMW at the moment is in the hands of Jeremy Clark, down in 5th position and quite a way behind, 4.5 seconds off the back of this battle. So struggling a little bit tonight with the size maybe of the BMW, just not getting it through these corners. It does have 8 kilos of ballast on board for it tonight, so it's a little bit heavier than, say, the Corvette, but I would have thought potentially with a car like that and the way that it tends to ride the bumps, it should have been able to hold onto the back of this little train. But for Jeremy at the moment, he's going to have a lot of work to get through, but it's going to be a hard task for him too, because he's got Martin Crisp, who we saw have a fantastic run last week out at Indy, and his teammate Tom Huggin right behind. So 2 good contenders there for XRC. Switching to another one of those cars, Simon Nicholson on the back of Warwick Brown as they work their way up through the S's and about to start plunging down towards the oak tree.
it's going to be Frid who's got the best opportunity. What's the gap coming out of this one? Always a good exit for Frid, who's a driver that I haven't seen much of the 105, Bailey Frid. He's doing well at the moment. In fact, actually, 105, that indicates he should be a rookie driver, I believe. But, well, must have set his number wrong or something, because he is an amateur, which indicates the 3 at the start of his. But that shows how new he is, I guess. That's that area has just crept in. But he's still half a second behind Nicholson. Of course, is a very wily competitor, old-timer, and led many laps, of course, at Indianapolis last time out. Got an awesome qualifying, got pole position, and led really for the first half of the race, in the end being overcome by Ross Rizzo. But a fantastic pace for him on that day, as Dalton, after making up a bunch of places, now it's the time to defend them all. Warwick Brown, the one right on the tail.
Yeah, and just positioning that BMW quite nicely through 1. They're working their way up through 5 and 6 at the moment. So it's going to be a tight complex to see whether Brown's able to get that car through. But Dalton running very wide on the initial turn-in, so really opening the door at the moment for Brown to have a look and see whether he can get anything done with it. And so work their way now down towards the S's. This could be a really good opportunity as they flow up over the top of this hill. But you can just see the straight line performance of that BMW just allowing him to edge back further ahead.
And of course, these cars have so much downforce that for many of these corners, they're just flat out. Kind of what we see at Silverstone in the Formula One as well. We have to, Cops and the first couple of corners at Abbey as well. Just so easy flat that you can just pick up a slipstream through them. And that is kind of the same thing with this Virginia circuit as well, with that S's section. Just so much speed carried for these guys, but also a little bit of aero wake as well, and that will be affecting the driver who is following. This is all kind of just teeing up at the moment, and of course if you're willing to go for an early pit stop, you could potentially get yourself out of all this traffic, because that is one of the struggles for these guys at the moment. They're just getting held up behind one another. Just wonder if it's worth someone rolling the dice, particularly Healy, perhaps in 4th place out in front. Might just be worth rolling the dice and trying to go for that undercut. Of course, it worked brilliantly for Trick Esports back at Alton Park. Managed to get a first and a second of that day. If Healy wants to win this one, I don't really see any other viable way. I can't see him overtaking all 3 of these drivers.
No, it's going to be a tall ask. He's going to definitely need a lot of cooperation, especially from Ross's teammate there if he wants to try and get up on the back to have a run at him. But just holding station at the moment, we know that the Porsche is still looking very good. It's handy on its tyres as well, so he might just be playing the long game here, right? Going to maybe extend the strategy just fractionally, but we'll see how that runs. I'm just interested too, keeping an eye on the lap times that we're seeing from our drivers out there tonight. They're all in the 144s throughout the top 15 at the moment. And just quickly to have a look at what the guys did in some of the early qualifying sessions, we were down to a 143, 149 for Craig Edwards. So a little bit slower tonight. Obviously, we've got a lot more fuel in the car, but as that burns away, look for those lap times to definitely start increasing. But this 4-car train doing a really solid job at the moment to get themselves a nice handy 5-second lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, you can barely see the other drivers now. So we go over the crest. Weitzel onto the back of Butler. Weitzel up 6 places, Butler up 8. And that was good defense, but then they both missed the corner, and with the slipperiness of the grass and the fact that, of course, you're going downhill at quite a gradient, that's going to be a long time off the track. There they are, just trying to scamper back on, and that's lost them probably about 10 seconds right there. Maybe not, probably not 10 seconds, but over 5 seconds it's lost them. So disappointing for that one. That's the difficulty of overtaking around that part of the track, but I don't think either of them can be too annoyed at one another. I think they both just missed the braking point, as Huggan is only just ahead of Dalton. Dalton looks to be under massive pressure from Brown just before. And now they've all of a sudden caught up to Huggan. I wonder if he just had a little bit of a poor lap. 7/10 of a second faster there for Dalton. In fact, she was faster than the 3 drivers ahead of her.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the guys just ahead starting to maybe trip over themselves just a fraction here. Obviously, they've dropped a long way back from our leading pack. And now as they all vie for position to try and get through, they're just starting to get tripped up here. But for Dalton, this is a great return. It was only a few laps when we were looking at it before that we were mentioning struggling a little bit to get the BMW down onto the apex, a couple of the corners there, but really starting to find their way through. It's going to be interesting, though, to see how defensive Tom Huggin goes, because we already see, the last lap by, a couple of the cars going off at the top of the roller coaster. This could be another few cars going through, and for anyone who's able to pull those cars up again nice and straight through there, definitely positions on hand to be gained should that happen again.
I am a big fan of these races where overtaking is at a minimum. It kind of brings the strategy a lot more into it, and it makes an overtake worth a whole lot more. I think back when we were at Alton Park, we kind of had a similar situation, but at Alton Park it was so tricky to overtake. I think that was just taken to the extreme, whereas this place it is possible. You can kind of feasibly imagine a way where you could get past. It's just very, very tricky. You do at least have straights, unlike the British circuit that we visited earlier on in the season. Edwards all of a sudden a bit more under pressure from Beeben, that gap ranging from about 0.2 of a second it comes down to, and then opens up to 0.5 of a second occasionally. Beeben a bit closer than he usually is around this part of the track, but it's all about getting within about 0.3 going onto the back straight coming out of the oak tree. And so far he's been unable to do that. You can hear the tyre squealing of these machines. Just keeping it within the confines of the track. 0.4 of a second, just able to open it up. Ooh, that's wide for Edwards, and this could be a fantastic opportunity for him. Just a bit too slidey there. I think he had to get back on the brakes midway around the corner just to make sure they kept all four wheels on the track. Now the C8, which may well be the slowest car down the straight, is under big pressure from the Porsche 911 just behind. Edwards goes to the outside for this next corner, right side of the track. And that was certainly the way to go. And well, I can't see Beeben getting a whole lot closer than that, to be honest, because that was a mistake there from Edwards, and Beeben still couldn't get his car alongside.
Yeah, just didn't get a clean exit. We saw Beeben just get a bit of a slide on the exit of Oak Tree, which did seem to hinder him a little bit. Rizzo got a good tow as well, but not able to really do anything in the Ford. So the Corvette looking quite handy, especially in the long sections of this straight. But Beeben going to have a great opportunity down into one here.
Yeah, Beeben goes for it. It's going to be contact between the two of them. This is surely for the race win. And Beeben moves ahead of Craig Edwards, who did not cover off the inside line. And Beeben, who came close to the move down the back straight, he has got the move through the first corner. Edwards stays in 4th place. And it's now Beeben, Rizzo, and Healy, your podium places. Let's see it from Beeben's perspective. And Edwards, yeah, he just left the door open. I'm not sure why he thought that Beeben wouldn't go for that. He then cut off the entry slightly in the braking area, but nothing wrong for Beeben whatsoever there. There could have been a bit of net code, potentially from the two of them. But I think that was just Edwards trying to hold on, trying to carry some speed through the corner, and Beeben doing nothing wrong, and he is into the lead and is on target for his first race win of the season.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there for Edwards, but he has been able to get that car back out onto the circuit. He finds himself now down in the 4th position, still with a bit of a gap over the preceding group there. We just see him drop out a shot and focus up on Jeremy Clark here. So did hurt him a little bit, but he is going to be able to get back in. Ooh. Still, obviously.
Beeben has gone off, and it's all changed again. And from 3rd and 4th, we were doubting if Trick Esports could make it 5 from 5. And they have. And what was it? It can't be a slowdown. Could it be a slowdown? How on earth do you pick up a slowdown? Round this track? I mean, I can only imagine the S's is where you get it done. Or is it a more serious issue for Beeben? Has he come back to the pits? No, he's dropped a lot of time, Beeben, so I think there's some kind of real life issue going on, maybe some hardware failure.
Yeah, potentially. Or actually, where is Craig Edwards? Edwards is in the pits. So I wonder if maybe Beeben was trying to get back to redress that position with Edwards following the contact we saw in turn 1. But yeah, Beeben's lost a huge amount of time here. The car's back to normal pace at the moment by the looks of it, but um, yeah, I think that was his attempt to try and get back, and might have been a little bit too late now, and potentially we could see a bit of a penalty maybe issued if that's what race control deem later on, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, keep been going for that move. And yeah, maybe the stewards feelings though it wasn't totally fair. He did leave a car's width on the exit, but there you go, redress for the 888 to the 928. So really, the Trick Esports guys just waited for the top two to make contact, and they are now leading this race. Wouldn't count Beeben out and wouldn't count Edwards out, especially if we do get a safety car later on in the event. Janssen on the tail of Weitzel and Frid. This is really starting to liven up. All of a sudden, the Giants seem to be able to make overtakes again. Oh, that was brilliant there from Frid to, I think, move up to 9th place. In fact, just defending from Weitzel. That was gutsy on the base, especially when we saw a couple of Giants go off at that fake corner earlier on in the event. Also, Phillips just getting past Whiting a bit further down. Janssen now into the pits. Had enough of that, but felt like he wanted to get a bit more space. We've also had Dalton past Huggan. That was a couple of laps ago, and that one kicked off. So Dalton firing up the order, and it's looking for her best result that at least I've seen her achieve so far in this series. Oh, look at that move. That is proud. That's not usually an overtaking opportunity. Well, that is how much Huggan seems to be struggling, because Brown is absolutely desperate to get past him.
Yeah, surprised he didn't maybe try and push that issue a little bit more through that one, because you can definitely make the pass up through 3 if you get a solid run out of 1 and 2 there. So maybe just setting it up for an opportunity for the next time by. We'll wait to see. But as they fire up over the hill, I just see Brown not taking as much of the initial curve as he floats that car through. But yeah, he's just struggling maybe a little bit to maintain that gap. But very solid under brakes as they're going down up into Oak Tree. He's brought that down to absolutely nothing. So you see the straight line of both these two cars following Brown's move through Oak Tree. They're just not able to utilise that and work their way back up towards the roller coaster. Gets a nice run in, and Huggan similarly looking on to the back of the Dalton BMW there, so we'll see whether he's able to make a move through. Byron Phillips coming back through following the drive-through penalty that he got, and he was also involved in that earlier contact with Nathan Huppatz as well, so he's working his way back now up into the 14th position. Just dispenses there BJ Kennedy. You see Warwick Brown and Chris Weitzel also in the lane to knock over their compulsory stops tonight too.
Yeah, the pit stops coming in now, because you're so dependent when it comes to the pit stops and when they're going to work out or not on what the drivers have actually. Craig Edwards stationing for 16 seconds at his pit stop, so that's a long pit stop. 9 seconds is the average for everyone else. So Edwards actually now, in fact, Weitzel even is ahead of Edwards. So Edwards lost loads of time. Also Nicholson, I think, might be off the track at the moment. Yeah, that's quite big for Nicholson, who was up in 2nd place out of the drivers who have pitted. That was going to be certainly a top 10 for Nicholson, maybe even better than that. But he's gone off at turn 1. Now, was this a collision with another driver? Could be someone coming out of the pits here. And in fact, it was. Is he going to make contact here? Such an opportunity to go for the move, and there's 705. Oh, well, I think if there is a one, apologies, if the Beeben one earlier on was a penalty, I think that is a bit of an easy decision for the stewards to make, because that was just running a little bit wide for Warwick Brown. That he's just moved his opponent slightly off the track. Meanwhile, Clark, Crisp, Dalton and Huggan still together, and you can see why they're all pitting at the moment, because these guys are losing a lot of time. It's such a tight battle.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably a smart opportunity to get those stops out of the way, get yourself a lap or two of clear air, as Martin Crisp and Tom Huggan think that strategy's on right now. They drop into the lane along with Bailey-Freed as well. So those guys dropped through. But that'll leave Clark and Dalton to continue on for another lap. This could be a good opportunity, though, for Dalton to make a little bit of inroad now that he has got that small bit of clear air ahead of him. So we'll see how that one goes. And Sam, I did see, we know we've always had the best driver profile pick currently in the hands of Dave Clements for what he's had. I think we might have a new contender starting to come into that one with Guy Leach as well. If we get a chance to drop back there, we'll check out his little profile pick. I think that might be the top contender for this one.
I don't know what that is. We don't have that in the UK. 1.2 kilos. That sounds like a lot. I mean, this is... I mean, wow. Well, I know what I'm going to be buying if I ever go to Australia.
It's Ironman food, and that's what you need to get around here. So Leach definitely knocked down the Nutrigrain, and he'll be looking in fine form for that. The two trick cars out the front at the moment, really starting to extend the gap now. 5 seconds to Tim Phoeben there. He really, since getting that slowdown and redress, hasn't been able to eat into that time differential, but these two working very well. We also heard Trent Thomas not racing tonight, but still helping the trick guys out. He's on the pit wall helping these two with strategies. So hi to Trent, and hopefully we'll see you back next week out, mate, at Barber Motorsports Park. But yeah, these guys looking really, really handy out front. Be interesting to see when they do decide to come in for their pit stop, because they're getting near enough to that range now.
Yeah, I would kind of just be keeping an eye on Edwards, but then of course Edwards has such a long stop, he's out of the equation. So Rizzo and Healy, I know. I wonder if they'll dare pit on alternative laps and race one another, because it is a two-way battle with Phoeben a further 5 seconds back at the moment. Brown, who is probably on his way to getting a penalty. He's battling with Kennedy, though. He hasn't got the penalty yet, so he will carry on. Was it Brown, actually, who made the contact? I think it was the other Brown, wasn't it? It was Warwick Brown, not Jacob Brown.
Yeah, I was going to say it was one of the Browns, but yeah, it was the other forward there for Warwick Brown involved in that one. So still waiting to see the awarding from race control, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But this fight here for 8th and 9th really starting to heat up between PJ Kennedy and Brown. So I think this could be a good opportunity. Both cars yet to come down the lane, actually. I think we've got Jacob Brown has come through the lane for his stop. Kennedy yet to do so. So it's a good little fight, though.
So Martin Crisp is currently the leader of the drivers who have made a pit stop out there. Then it's Huggan, then it's Brown. Apologies. I'm getting a bit confused. So yeah, Jacob Brown came in on the opening lap, so he will still have to pit again. But then it's Crisp further back behind these guys. But Brown making this strategy work. But this is a proper battle between these two drivers. Clark into the pits now. So this, where will Clark come out? I think he will be around. He was battling with Crisp and Huggan, I believe. Yeah, in fact, Clark was ahead of these guys, I think, for the entirety of the first stint. So this is big. Crisp could be on for a P4 here. But he needs to make sure that he gets out of the pits ahead of Martin Crisp, who has been setting some... Well, he only pitted one lap ago. This could be close. Trying to get up to speed now in the BMW. And I think Clark is going to have this one covered. And he is all right. Had about a second to spare in the end from the chasing pack. So that is a big moment there for P4 in this race. Kind of best of the rest behind Rizzo, Healy and Phoeben. And Chris will now have to try to chase after him, along with Huggan, Brown, Weitzel, Janssen, Frid and Edwards, all in a fantastic battle. I mean, if there was any doubt that the battle would end once we got to the pit stops, I think that rumour has certainly ended.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really starting to fire up. We've got 15 minutes left on the clock, so really anyone's game here to gain those last few spots. Edward now starting the recovery drive. Obviously, we saw him getting escorted wide through turn 1 by Tim Phoeben there, and the redress that was after that. But for Edwards now, he's got a lot of work if he wants to try and get back through the field. He's got Freed just ahead of him, Janssen only a couple of cars up, and then as you're saying, so right saying, we've got that train of cars all starting to stack up behind the XRC boys as Michael Healy now drops into the lane, the first of the Trick Esports cars tonight.
I'm a bit concerned where this could put Healy back out. He might be around Byron Phillips when he comes back out and check Healy, so it might end up in some traffic. Dalton into the pits. Healy will be hoping that Phillips comes into the pits as well, and he does. Well, that's a relief for him, because I think Phillips would have potentially been ahead of him if it weren't for that, and he would have had to spend a lap behind him. But instead, Healy just about ahead, and he's in third place. And now he's got to deliver the lap of his life if he's going to get his second race win of the season. Try to take that, or will it be Rizzo's third race win of the season? Of course, winning at Sebring and then last time out at Indianapolis. It's Huppert's. He's had a quiet day after his race was wrecked in the first lap, in the first corner even. Wonder where he would have been if it weren't for that. But he's in 17th now, has had his pit stop complete, albeit a bit earlier than everyone else. And he's now trying to get past Smith just ahead.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a tough season, this one, for Nathan Huppert. He's managed to get some really good one-lap pace out of the C8 there, just struggling a little bit to put it together in the total race, but definitely now should be getting the thought and control process for this car well under the belt, and pushing on BJ Kennedy now and Guy Leach starting their little fight now for the 18th spot. And I saw it might have been a lap or two ago. Leach had a quick off-track excursion up through the roller coaster there, but managed to get back on and underway. As we see our two race leaders at the moment yet to come through the stop. Rizzo and Fieber now in the lane to complete their one and only stops tonight as well. So
Healy was stationed for 8.83. Healy's pit stop should be shorter than Rizzo, seeing that he had more of a draft. Rizzo, 8.9. It should be all right for the 978, and it is. In fact, it was quite comfortable in the end. The gap before the pit stop was just under a second, and it's actually extended out a little bit, despite a slightly longer pit stop time, so about 1.6. And Healy's undercut attempt hasn't quite worked out. That outlap just a bit too slow for him. Perhaps the tyres cooled down and he had to get them back up to temperature, and of course that extra fuel as well in the car, and also had to get back his rhythm again. So Rizzo and Healy and Beeben all looking very good. Brown actually not too far back and forth, because Jacob Brown still needs to come into the pits in that board in fourth position at the moment. And Dalton then, in fact I didn't see that one. So Dalton, who pitted later than the others, pitted one lap later than Jeremy Clark, actually got ahead of Jeremy Clark. So Amanda Dalton right now is on for fourth place, which would be 9 places gained from her start, and surely a personal best in the series.
Yeah, really coming on quite strong over the last few races, especially for the Team Frogleet Racing. They're relative newcomers this season and really getting to grips with how this car's performing, and top effort for those guys really to get up where they are at the moment. Jacob Brown will be the next car up the road. We have to keep an eye too. Jeremy Clark right behind. He's a bit of a tough competitor, and we'll definitely be looking for an opportunity along with those two XRC cars just behind. As you see, a unsafe re-entry there for Phillips from lap 18, so 30-second stop and hold for him, and that's another penalty tonight following the issues that we saw earlier on at lap 1 that involved himself and Nathan Huppert.
We don't like to shame drivers, but we will. Here is Phillips, and he's lost the car. That's one of the most common mistakes in around this track, and then the unsafe rejoin follows, I see.
Yeah, that's not a great rejoin, and that would have been the contact that we saw a couple of laps back, and looked like Guy Leach might have caught the back end of that car. So, yeah, Stewart's dealing that one. A stop and hold. You see Edwards now dispense there of Steve Jansen down into turn 1, and that's a nice solid pass, but does open the door here for Jansen to come back through. Could he have an opportunity down here in through turn 3? He's got that Porsche just a little offline, but not quite able to close the gap.
The battle's mainly subsiding at the moment. Just starting to calm down out on track. The closest battle is that P5 to P8 battle. We've also got Warwick Brown versus Simon Nicholson, although I doubt that will change anytime soon. Bipet's actually just back into the pits as well. We've also got Edwards versus Janssen. Yeah, this is the one to watch out for. Top few positions looking pretty sorted at the moment. Clark just staying in the draft at the moment of Dalton. I think that's helping Clark out quite a bit. You can see that relative screen coming down a little bit. And down to 7 tenths of a second. And that's really going to help him in defensive crisp. Certainly help out his straight line speed quite a bit. I think Clark would certainly take a P6 if that was a possibility right now. As they move around this lap 21, and we'll move on to the 22nd lap of this race. Going to have about 4 to go after this one, with this pretty short circuit, pretty long circuit, sorry, 5 laps to go, in fact, for these guys. And it's still Ross Rizzo leading the way. And, well, I do a little bit of betting on certainly tennis, Daniel. And if I was put a bet on Trick Esports winning the first 5 rounds of the season last season, I think I'd be laughed out of the room. I think I could get pretty good odds on that case, but yet they've managed to do it, and they've done it legitimately. You know, they've been the fastest team. Perhaps this one's probably been the most fortunate out of all of their race wins, because of course they did rely on the top 2 hitting one another, but since they've got into the lead, they've just been pulling away from the others, just showing that underlying race pace that they've got this season.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a team that's been on form for quite a few seasons, especially since we've been covering the AMF series. They've been thereabouts up the top end. And yeah, we saw Rizzo last season get a couple of one-off wins based on strategy alone. And to his credit, he played a fantastic job on those to get those victories. But this season's been really solid dominance from Trick Esports. I mean, we thought last week, with the exception of that last little finish, might have been a complete lockout for them at Indy there. Unfortunately, Trent had a little bit of an issue and wasn't able to get it through. Or it might have been Makahili, so not able to get it through. But they've been thereabouts, and they're gaining week on week with the performance of the car. Obviously, the team's championship pretty well sewn up at this point. We've still got quite a few races to go, but they've got an impressive lead and doing everything they need to do to just keep getting those points on the board. Further back down the field to Janssen and Edwards is the battle for 9th position. The guys working their way up over the start-finish line to begin their 22nd lap. Be interesting to see whether Janssen now, obviously he got overtaken down into the spot last time by, thought he might have been in for a shot as he got down onto the final corner there, but just struggling with a little bit of pace in that Porsche at the moment. And these guys starting to fall off the back of the train with Tom Hug and Martin Cripps just ahead of them there.
Big thanks to Trak Racer for sponsoring this broadcast and sponsoring the championship. And of course, Trak Racer provide fantastic cockpits, also TV monitor stands, and also all kinds of accessories and add-ons. And so if you're looking to upgrade your rig, go to Trak Racer, because some of their stuff is absolutely fantastic. It's really well built. There's a lot of customization as well, and there's so much stuff that you can get for your rig. So it's certainly the place to go if you're looking to upgrade. And of course, if you're getting a direct drive wheel, for example, you kind of need a stand like that just to deal with the loads, and certainly Trak Racer is the place to go for that. So big thanks to them for continuing their support of the championship. Here comes Chris Weitzel then, trying to get past Frid, and that will be up into 11th position. Frid, just having to lift out that one. Surprising that Frid's actually dropped down a little bit. I don't know what's happened to him in the last few laps. But he was quite comfortably ahead. He was having a good battle with kind of the back end of that of that top 10 battle. And now he's quite a bit behind them, but still P12 would not be too bad for him.
No, not at all. I think since the stop's gone through, we have seen the performance definitely drop off, and I don't know if that's maybe the tyres starting to go, whether he's used them up trying to push the car across this circuit here, but just not quite finding the lap pace that we would have probably expected from earlier on in the race. As we see, Nathan Huppert's now down under Hayden Smith, and that's another positional change. Obviously, him now up into the 14th spot, but for free, yeah, not sure what's going on. I mean, we haven't seen him too much in this championship. I just don't know whether he's maybe overcooked those tyres or just lost a little bit of the feel in the car, but definitely seems to be struggling. The pace still very good, that being said, but just not quite getting what he needs out of it.
Again, all over the back of Crisp. It's been tricky to keep up to date with all this battling to you, but I struggled to recall what order they were in kind of 10 minutes ago. But Crisp was looking so strong, wasn't he? He was looking like he could perhaps get, well, P6 perhaps. I don't think it's actually been overtaken, to be fair, as Crisp. We've still got Brown as well, who needs to pit, and he pitted on lap 1. And just checking, Daniel, you can't serve your pit stop in the first 3 laps, can you? That rule still applies, doesn't it? So you can't just save fuel and get to the end, can you?
No, I think he's still going to struggle to get that one done, but we'll see. I mean, the pace still looking very, very good out of that car. It was a little bit slower last time by. It was a 1:46 as it crosses the line there. So about 2 seconds a lap slower than what we're seeing from the guys behind him. But I wonder if he is trying that really unique strategy. Maybe go for it and see what he can get out of it. But definitely going to see that car come under attack in the coming laps, because I mean the guys behind Dalton, Clark, Crisp are all operating between the mid 45s, 44.6 to 45 flats. So he's going to find himself in a world of pain here very, very quickly as he exchanges that battle out. The 2 teammates in Butler and Laszlo just working their way around the circuit. Down to 22nd and 23rd, not the night these 2 guys would have wanted to have. I'm pretty sure we saw Laszlo a lot further up earlier on, but don't know whether he was a bit of a victim of circumstance from that lap 1 issue, but just hasn't quite got it where he needed it tonight, and down 4 spots from where he started.
Clark now onto the back of Dalton. Under Dalton's just getting a little bit tense in that car now, after doing all the hard work to get up into that 5th place, which will surely turn into 4th place in just a matter of time. In fact, the leaders just going to start the last lap of the race, so 1 more to go after this one. And yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure you have to pit after lap 1. You can't just pit on lap 1, and that doesn't count as your stop. You got to pit on lap 3 or later. Or maybe that rule isn't going to be applying because Brown is still going. Will Dalton catch up to them? Catch up to Brown, who on that last lap was a 45.4. That's better for Brown, actually. So I thought he was saving a lot of fuel, but actually his pace isn't too bad. So I doubt Dalton will catch in time. And Clark is all over the back of that BMW M8 car. Had to get pre-inventive date, but around this part of the track, the best opportunity, turn 1, has gone now. And they've also got this incredible queue of drivers. Edwards as well getting onto the back of Huggan. Has been overtaken a couple of times already today, so Edwards will be fencing his chances on that one. Of course, was leading the race in the early stages. What a feast of a battle these guys have served up to us today. Dalton now within 1 second of Brown, actually, so there could be a move on potentially between those guys. And actually now Brown losing more time through the S's. Wonder the fuel situation just getting a bit critical now for Jacob Brown out in that 4th place. But out in the lead, Ross Rizzo looks as though he's going to take his 3rd race victory from 5 races. He's been on the podium, I believe, in the other 2 as well. It has so far been an exceptional championship, and he will continue to build up his lead. They weren't in the lead at the start of the race, but they have got a 1-2 by the end. Tricky Sports win out once again. Rizzo leads home Healy, who will be in 4th position. Theben will be in 3rd. Brown is holding off the others at the moment. Now, will that stand or not? I'm not quite sure. Always, he's running out of fuel. Will Dalton get right at the end of the race? Yes. So Dalton will get 4th position on track. The fuel just wasn't quite there for Brown. He did a very good job to get to the end, but like I said, a DQ would be potential. We'll try to get you news on that later on when we go to the interview. So Dalton gets a personal best result in 4th place. Brown in 5th. Clark comes home in 6th, and then it was Crisp, Hagen and Edwards unable to do anything in the end to the others on that last lap. Can Nicholson get Whiting right at the end here? Whiting with a decent final corner, to be fair, in the Fishy Motorsports car, and will lead him home in 19th and 20th. Daniel, this circuit isn't one of my favourites to drive, but that was a great race. That's one of the best races. I think probably the best race we've seen so far this season. The way that the drivers were just all cooped up behind one another for pretty much the entirety of the event was fantastic to watch. And yeah, overtaking tricky to make, but I think it made the racing all the more better.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a really solid run from everyone out there. Obviously, we saw a couple of issues along the way, most notably down into turn 1, lap 1, and then a few guys just tripping over each other in a few spots around the circuit. But all in all, the racing was fantastic. I think everyone really cautious of, knowing that if you do get onto the grass, it's a bit of a done deal there, and you're going to find yourself in the tyre barrier at the end of it. But yeah, from what we saw, absolutely fantastic racing from all of our top 3. It looks like just seeing down in the bottom a shot there, Brown now getting pushed back to the pit lane by his teammate. So that car well and truly out of field. I did just quickly duck back into the rulebook just to confirm on that one. And as long as they didn't pit under any form of penalty, that one was safe to go. So a good effort trying to roll the dice there and get that car home. It unfortunately just fell short of getting that 4th position.
Aha, okay, so apologies for that one. So that is a Tristan at 5th place, and that was a pretty exciting ending in the end, with Dalton just about getting him on the line. Question why everyone else didn't see that. I mean, that looked like certainly the best strategy to go for, although, of course, Brown had that collision in the early stages, but yeah, did well to come back. That is a slight shortcut around this track. You got the East Circuit and the West Circuit and the Big Circuit. This place you could easily get lost for hours trying to make your way around here. There they are. They're trying to get back to the starts. Or back to the pit. Sorry. Still, I think there might be some drivers yet to come across the line. Although, maybe that is everyone. So I don't know if we can perhaps get the results up and go through your finishing order for this race. There they are. Ross Vizet wins out 1.2 seconds clear of Michael Healy, fended off the undercut from his teammate, and was very serene to the end of the event. Timothy Beeben rounds out the podium, but while Beeben will feel a little bit hard done by, I imagine that penalty was a marginal one, and if it weren't for that, he surely would have been the favourite to win the race, but ends up in 3rd. Amanda Dalton with a fantastic result in 4th. It was Jacob Brown doing the mega early stop under the under the safety car in 5th. Then it was Jeremy Clark, Martin Crisp, Tom Hagen, Craig Edwards, Steve Janssen, Chris Weitzel, Bailey Frid, Nick Sanfilippo, Nathan Huppert, Guy Leach, Hayden Smith, BJ Kennedy, Warwick Brown, Michael Whiting, Simon Nicholson. Top of the rookie drivers was Paul Warwick. There was Jesse Butler, Kobe Laszlo, Dale Braid, Christopher Hughes, Byron Phillips, Aaron Specchier, and Anthony Winkleman. I don't think Winkleman even took the start, did he? Maybe he did. Just try and find it. No, he didn't take the start. No, apologies. Maybe Winkleman was on the stewards. Not quite sure. But there they are. No. 28 drivers out on track, and we should get a couple of interviews with the drivers. And actually, we've only got one interview, but it's the one that we want to get first up. It's Ross Vizet, our race winner, once again, his 3rd race win of the season. Congratulations, Ross. Or at least I really thought that your run was going to come to an end today, to be honest. Running in 3rd and 4th, ran a tricky to overtake circuit. That one's looking pretty tricky for you guys, and then it kind of all opened up ahead.
Well, I was thrilled to survive T1 after I saw a pink Ford just fly past me. I was shocked I even avoided that, to be honest. And I thought the run might have been in jeopardy as well, but I wasn't necessarily thinking about that today because it's just it's one of those tracks where you can so easily come off, and we unfortunately saw it today with Tim and Craig that you can get a long way up here even at turn one, still make contact, and the other guy goes skating off into oblivion. So it was more or less a case of survival and see where we ended up, and lo and behold, here we are again. I'm really surprised at how this has turned out.
Did you know that your teammate Michael is going to come into the pits on the lap that he did? Were you aware of that, or did you suddenly just see, oh, he's coming to the pits and now I've got to push?
We were racing each other, so we were just I knew I was tight to go one more lap, and I wasn't sure if Michael had fuel save at all behind me. I did a lot of fuel saving in the first stint, so I knew just making it an extra lap, you needed to have fuel saved. I didn't know if Michael was doing that, so yeah, not surprised that he pitted the lap before, and then just kind of put the foot down to try and make sure I came out ahead.
Next up, we have one of the endurers, and I think we've got a few endurers coming up. Surely that's going to benefit you guys, isn't it? Because you've got such good race pace, maybe struggling a little bit more in qualifying, but there's really no sign of this run coming to an end. I mean, you guys do seem to just have that quarter of a second on everyone else.
Well, having the run is one thing. What you do with it is completely another. So look, we know we're in high spirits at the moment, and we need to keep converting that into results. We can't rest on our laurels. And the next track, I think, is Barber. Very different track. Again, we've these tight circuits always throw it up, and your race can so easily be undone. So we got to make sure we do the best job we can. I think tonight we proved we had really strong pace by just pulling away from the field after that point, and we need to keep doing that to keep this run going. So we know we're still going to have to work for it, but I'm excited for the rest of the season, and the momentum is certainly with us. So we'll do our best to keep going with it.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for that. Ross, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Firstly, I'll give a commiserations to Tim and Craig. That was obviously you don't want to win races like that, but you got to be in position to benefit. But still, it's really terrible for both of them to have their races come undone like that. A quick thank you to AMF and to our sponsors at Trak Esports, Trak Custom Fabrications, and Pro Sim Gear.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Ross, and best of luck to make it 4 wins next time out at Barber.
Right, thanks very much, guys.
Ross Tuesday, your race winner tonight. Daniel, we have got Timothy Thieben in for a chat.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Tim, congratulations, mate. Good, solid run out there. We saw from the opening, you managed to get yourself into a really good position for a good fight with Craig Edwards. The Porsche looked quite nice out there. How was it from your point of view?
Yeah, g'day, Daniel. G'day, Sam. It was really good. The Porsche was pretty solid this week. Not much really to complain about at all. So, yeah, got a reasonable start. It's sort of handy starting in second, I think. Having the view of Craig taken off, so I was managed to get the jump on Healy, and there was just strengths and weaknesses of both cars, I think, and that lap I sort of just got a good run on Craig and tried to go up the inside at T1. It was called a redress. I sort of had a look at the replay. I'm not sure I'm on the same page there, but it is what it is, and so attempted to redress, but Craig went into the pits, so lost a few spots, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're a little unsure on how that one was going to unfold, because obviously we saw that Edwards fell off a fair way back, and obviously by the time the redress was called, you guys were well and truly nearly completed the lap there. But to your credit, you dropped off and allowed the guys to come back and push through from there. New livery on the car tonight, we've noticed as well, looking quite nice out there on circuit. And next week we're off to Barber Motorsport, somewhat similar to what we've had tonight at VIR. It's going to be a 90-minute format. First off, what are your thoughts on heading off to Barber, and is it a track that you're familiar with? Do you enjoy it?
I'm semi-familiar with it. I've done a few laps there, but not heaps. So be a bit more. Have to put in a bit more time this week to get the speed. I suppose lots of similar tracks this season, so the Porsche seems to be all right. I think all the cars are pretty well matched this season. So looking forward to it.
Fantastic, mate. Well, look, again, congratulations on a solid run tonight. Bit of a shame we didn't get to see you mixing up with the guys at the back end of the race, similar to what we saw at the start of the race. But hopefully, heading off to Barber next week, you're right back in the thick of it again. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Good racing to the guys up front, Ross and Michael. They were super quick at the end. I didn't really have the pace once I sort of got detached from that group. So they did a really good job, and just thanks to Mark 1. And apologies to Craig. Look, I don't want to ruin anyone's race. That's not my style. It was just one of those things, probably more a racing incident. But I don't like to see anyone go off the track. So apologies to him. But I'll catch you guys next week, hopefully.
No worries, mate. We'll chat to you then.
So I don't think we're going to be able to get a chat with Michael Healy, it seems like, but certainly was good to have a chat with Ross Rizzo and Timothy Eben there. Once again, just big thanks to Trak Racer. If you're looking to get yourself a new rig or any accessories with that, certainly do go to Trak Racer for that. And also big thanks to Akita as well, who provide rigging and safety equipment. Check them out, and also race management service as well. You help set up all the sessions. We really couldn't have the format that we do in this series without them. So big thanks to all of the sponsors for continuing to support the championship. Daniel, next time out, we finally get to the enduro meetings. Of course, 2 pit stops mandatory. One of them you need to take tyres. It'll be tricky work for us because it's tricky to keep up to date with all these GTE cars, with who's taking tyres at what time. Of course, the tyres take about an extra 25 seconds to take. And that should probably mix it up. We've seen how competitive the field is this season, and it might give an opportunity for a few other guys to spring a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, strategy is a key factor in getting through these endurance 90 minutes out there, as opposed to the standard 45s, obviously, which was done tonight and for the majority of the races so far this season. But it presents a unique set of circumstances for the guys. Do they take tyres early on? Do they play the game a little bit later on? How do they utilise the draft? How much fuel do they stick in the car? It's going to be interesting to see. Barber's going to be an interesting circuit for them to attempt this on as well, because it's not a circuit that we traditionally race at. But it does provide its own unique set of circumstances, similar to what we've seen for VIR tonight. It's a lot of flow involved to get the cars through. There's some twisty sections that the guys are going to need to negotiate, especially down through turn 7, 7A, 7B, before you get through the little chicane on the back straight there. So it's going to present a unique set of circumstances, a very wide circuit for the guys to manage to get through. But I think the racing we've sort of become synonymous with seeing in the endurance so far is going to be top notch as always.
Yeah, another circuit that we haven't visited for a little while, I believe, is Barber. So it'll be nice to return there, and it'll be nice to return to the 2008 graphics as well. If you didn't get enough of that today, when Barber will be a feast for your eyes in that regard, I'm sure. Once again, thanks to all the organisers and the stewards for volunteering their time to help out with the championship. Thanks to the sponsors. Thanks to the drivers as well, and thanks to you as well for tuning in. Of course, the Trak Racer GT series happens every week, similar time every single week, so certainly do check it out next week at Barber for that first endurance meeting of the season. And we wait to see if Trak Esports can be taken off their perch. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and subscribe to Apex Racing TV as well, because we've got loads more races coming up, about 20 races a week broadcasted on our own channel at the moment. And if you wouldn't mind, also check out our social media as well, at Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's all at Apex Racing TV. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Leet and from Scott Newton, we are going to say goodbye. And it is 5 from 5 now for Trak Esports. We'll see you back in the 90-minute event at Barber in 1 week's time. See you then.